warriors in this room tonight. Good evening to all of you. I can't tell you how excited I am. I can tell you we've been waiting for you. We have been waiting for you. We've been talking about this for the last 2 years, and I am so thrilled to have you in Prince George's County. And you know what? God has been wonderful to allow us to be together tonight. We can't forget his grace, and we already know that our feet were made to walk in high places. I almost feel like after we heard that, I can close the book and walk on out of here, right? Because we've already gotten our instructions. But I want to say good evening to all of you. Happy Women's History Month, and welcome to the opening session of the 11th Annual Black Women's Roundtable, Women of Power National Summit, and again, welcome to Prince George's County. I am so honored to serve as this year's honorary co-chair, and I want to thank a super bad woman. You all already know who I'm talking about, that Melanie Campbell. None quite like her, none quite like her. And she's president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. And I want to thank her for the invitation to be a part of this amazing event. Again, we've talked about this for the last 2 years. We were ecstatic and hoping that we would be able to be together last year, and God had another plan. He had some work he had to do through COVID-19, and we were forced to meet virtually. But this year, we've made significant progress to get to the point where we are now able to gather in person. I can see your smiles, many of you, and so this is just so wonderful. And I think it's fitting as well that this year's theme for our gathering is rebuilding hope, justice, equity, and equality. And this pandemic, I believe, brought a lot of loss and destruction. However, it also exposed the inequities that exist in this country. You know, I've been saying to so many who said, oh, I feel so sorry for you. I spent the last 2 years of my term. This is my third year as county executive, and 2 years of them I spent in COVID-19. But I've been telling them this is the moment we've been waiting for. And so we're not sorry for it. This is the moment that we've been waiting for. And so in spite of the challenges, I believe that we now have an opportunity to move forward. We can see the path in front of us. And so rebuilding hope, justice, equity, and equality, and making society better for everyone really is a part of what we've learned over the last 2 years. And it's important to think of the power of our vote within the context of hope, justice, equity, and equality, and that it is the foundation of all of the things that we strive to rebuild. For centuries, women like Ida B. Wells and Fannie Lou Hamer have worked to build access to the ballot. They've made so many contributions to this structure, to the structure of this nation, refusing to cower in the face of overwhelming racism. Lonnie Guinier was one of them. Many of you probably heard of Lonnie. We got some younger sisters in the room who may not have heard of Lonnie Guinier, but at 12 years old, she was inspired to become a lawyer when she watched on TV as NAACP attorney Constance Baker Motley pushed fearlessly through protesters to help integrate the University of Mississippi. Lonnie followed her inspiration and got to work. She joined the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and led their Voting Rights Project, and described her voting rights work to be intellectual, professional, and her own spiritual cause. The foundation of her work was her commitment to empower her community. She won 31 of the 32 cases that she tried, including significant voting rights victories against southern states, and worked on significant amendments to the Voting Rights Act. She believed strongly in ensuring that more minorities got placed in judicial appointments, a move that would significantly rebuild areas where inequities had long hurt so many of our communities. Lonnie was nominated to become the nation's first Black woman to lead the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division in 1993. This was an opportunity for her to eliminate societal inequities on a larger scale. Unfortunately, and we're seeing this again yet today, opponents of progress stood in the way and forced her nomination to be withdrawn. Even so, her efforts changed countless lives. Lonnie is just one example of women that had a significant part in the structure of our society. Time and time again, women have proven to be the very foundation of this democracy. We don't run from the job. We walk towards it willingly, despite the resistance from those who oppose our progress. We do so because we are the ones with the tools necessary to rebuild hope, justice, equity, and equality in this society. Whether in positions or on the grassroots level, more and more of us are showing up with tools in hand. More and more, we recognize the power that we wield. Over the last 20 years, the percentage of Black women at voting age has increased by 31%. That's right, and Black women are now one of the most active voter blocs in the nation, and trust me, they know it. I saw it firsthand in the support that I received when I ran for Prince George's County State's Attorney and won. I felt the same support as I ran for county executive. Women from all across the county and the state came out, and you all know how they do, lottie-dottie, and everybody came out to volunteer, knock on doors, stand at polling places. In fact, at one of the polling sites that I went to on election day, one of the guys looked around and he said, "Damn, baby, these women kept coming from everywhere." Came like a tsunami to the polling places, and that's what we're still doing today. The same story continues to play out across the nation. Black women have shown up at the polls at higher rates than any other bloc for the past 5 presidential cycles. We saw the power of our vote rewarded in 2020 with the historic election of Vice President Kamala Harris. We're not a growing force, ladies. I want you to know that we're already a force right now. And this power is important because, unfortunately, the progress of rebuilding is a never-ending job. Rebuilding is only necessary after something is torn down. There's always damage that needs repairing in this democracy. In a nation so rooted in its history, forces are working to erase and rewrite the past. The opposition is strong, and sometimes it is frightening. Within Lonnie's lifetime, the Supreme Court chopped away at the power of the Voting Rights Act she helped to fortify. She passed away this past January, a year after the Capitol was overtaken by those who would rather dismantle our democracy than use their own secure to access the ballot. But Black women have been in this fight from the very start. We've continued on through setbacks and significant gains. From the abolitionist movement to the fight for civil rights and beyond, someone has always been there to pick up the tools and continue the work when the time has come for others to lay it down. Builders like Stacey Abrams continue the restoration against voter suppression that Ida B. Wells and Fannie Lou Hamer started. As record numbers of voters participated in the 2020 general election, despite the pandemic and efforts to suppress the vote, I was proud that in Prince George's County, we helped our residents participate safely through voting by mail and other measures. We know that elections have immediate consequences. Lonnie Guinier may have been prevented from leading the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, but nearly 30 years later, Kristen Clark picked up the tools and is now leading the same department today. And the work of so many women was rewarded when President Biden nominated Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to be the first Black woman Supreme Court justice, with an opportunity to rebuild what Lonnie Guinier worked hard to bolster. Our vote is powerful, and it matters. This power gives us hope for the future, but we still have work to do if we're going to finish the job of rebuilding hope, justice, equity, and equality. We still need more of us in positions of influence to create public policy that produces equity and accomplishes equality. We have work to do to achieve a more diverse and fair justice system. More Black women have been appointed as federal judges in recent years, but Black women still only make up less than 6% of all federal judges. And as active as we are as a voting bloc, our faces aren't reflected enough in the candidates in office. Women in general make up 50% of the population, but only hold about a quarter of the seats in Congress. While a record number of Black women were elected to Congress in 2020, they still make up less than 5% of Congress, and they're all in the House of Representatives. This means that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson faces a nomination process from a Senate that has the same number of Black women that it did before Vice President Harris became senator: 0. The job only gets harder as lawmakers in state houses across the nation responded to the 2020 general election by intensifying efforts to suppress the power of our vote. We must do more, but we can't do it alone. The tradition continues of women picking up what others have left off, and someone right now is watching how you work. Just like Lonnie Guinier was inspired by Constance Baker Motley, the next builder may be learning from how you are using your tools. A lot of women, both here and across the nation, view us as their inspiration. For those of us in positions of leadership, we know what it takes to get to where we are, and it's up to us to prepare those who will come after us. Years ago, I interned with Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton in her office in Washington, D.C. She was an important mentor for me early on. She would often take me to her committee meetings, and she'd talk to me about her experiences and gave me advice on how to get started in public service. She prepared me to use the tools that I would need when the time came. So I was ready when the residents of Prince George's County trusted me to be the first woman county executive. I'm now able to find ways to build an equitable system for our residents, and I'm proud that in my cabinet, I'm surrounded by talented women equipped with the tools to build. You should know that in our government here in Prince George's County, well, my soror Melanie will tell you, we have Fire Chief Tiffany Green, a woman who came up through the fire service after 23 years. You should know that Tiffany Green started as a volunteer in our fire department, worked every position in that fire department. And when it came time for me to select a fire chief, guess what I learned? Tiffany has scored #1 on every single promotional exam she had ever been given in the fire department. And she stands now as the first woman to serve as fire chief in this administration and only the 9th African American fire chief in our country's history. We have also in our government, thank you, our chief administrative judge, Sheila Tillerson Adams. We have a female state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy. We have also the chief administrative officer, the communications director, our county's attorney are all African American women in Prince George's County. The head of our school system, Dr. Monica Golson, and it goes on and on and on. So this means that the hope is there for us and that somebody is watching us. Author and activist Audre Lorde said it well when she wrote, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." When we stand strong in support of each other, there's nothing we can't do. Let's dare to be bold, let's dare to be powerful, and let's dare to keep moving forward no matter what the obstacles are that we face. Thank you all again for being a part of this national summit and for the work that you are already doing. I'm so heartened to see all of you. May God continue to bless all of you, and may God continue to bless the work of our hands. Thank you so much.